Hi, my name is Mina Crichton. Welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur, and I'm the narrator of my videos on YouTube channel and everything else and on my Facebook page. Okay, so what I'm going to continue on with this clip. I think I may finish up with this clip for Judge Chalice's judgment. But I need you to all to keep in mind that I am a lockout situation. So spiritually, the warfare is spiritual, but when your privacy is gone, there's a big, massive difference to what is spiritual and what is a set of circumstance where you're trapped. Okay, so I can actually prove now in the court of law that I was being trafficked while I was working for my employer according to the laws. Okay, so it is oh my goodness, just one moment. The case is a demolition of a human being. Okay, so basically they've dug up my past, and then they've used my past against me, and then they've alerted other people in the process who they know that they've committed some pretty serious crimes against me, and then they could go to prison for it. So that is what they've done to me, but this explains the shadow people is what they call themselves, or and all the secret animation of an individual's life where somebody else is pretending to be you, or they're stealing your energy or anything positive, and then they're giving it to somebody else, or secretly switching, meaning anything monetary or assets. Like you could be just living your life, and then one day you wake up and it's like, oh my gosh, what's happened? You've lost everything. Everybody's ghosted you or deserted you. But this is my experience, but my personal profile will clearly reveal that I've been subject to unlawful everything, and it is definitely a case of a penalty, which is a case of demolition of a human being, where they have dug up my past, used it against me, and then everyone has taken turns to do what they've done to me, psychologically, mentally. But there's money involved in this game, and the game is global, and this is why I'm explaining the coding. I feel it's important to explain from my point of view how the game actually works, with me being the actual original, and also just disclosing and confirming some of the evidence, whether it was true or not. So on this one here, I'm going to be focusing again on Judge Chalice's judgment, where she has actually mentioned, just one moment. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on Judge Chalice's judgment still, and we're going to be talking on the 5th and the 6th defendants. So the 5th and the 6th defendant is this person here, Carolyn Green and Jane Reed Moss. Okay. Okay, I felt it was important because there is a part of this portion in the judges. I thought I had actually highlighted it. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to try and find it, because hang on a moment. Okay, this may be one of the hardest videos that I've had to do, but I know I've got to do it. On this point here, point 38, judge has written here whether or not on The 2009 report accurately reported that Miss Crichton was a victim of rape. It is clear on Miss Crichton's own admission that she has suffered significant emotional trauma in the past. Okay, an inaccurate report of rape might have been relevant if the person in question has suffered no other personal trauma. However, it is not the case here. Okay, she would have got that from the report and from the evidence that I had submitted to the courts. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly just find that evidence. Just give me a sec. Okay, the issue that I had with the report done by the 5th and the 6th defendants was because they had written rape on their report, which I'd never disclosed to anybody. Okay, they only came to surface because they'd put that in the report. I was really upset about it at the time, and that's why I did the affidavit, and then I submitted it to the courts. When I took it before management, because I was upset about what was written on the report. Okay, so first of all, for sexual violation cases, it is 20 years imprisonment for rape. And these kind of cases you can even the case mine now, whether I live or die and I don't get my justice, the Crown criminal prosecutor can actually, go ahead and still prosecute everybody involved in my case, especially those in fiduciary duty. They all can be charged for, all the charges against the law and according to the law. So my case is definitely Category 4 cases in the criminal jurisdiction, and I am a victim of rape, and I was upset because I had never told anyone. I hadn't even told my my children's father. That's how private I was. I didn't even tell him. I didn't even tell anyone in my family. It was a secret I kept to myself. Because I was just a child. I was underage. I was 14. I had ran away from home, and due to home life was difficult. I was just a kid myself, so I wouldn't class myself as a problem child like how everyone has interpreted my life. I say shame on you all. Shame on you all for digging up people's past and think you have that right, that you're better than them, because you're not. You're a coward. You are a coward. But today I'm going to tell my story as it is. And yes, my government owes me and my family an apology. They dug up my past and then they put all these mental assessments. Everything was intentional. And you're talking about self-righteous, stuck-up people, okay, who think they're all that, but you know what? You don't know what life is. And as far as I can speak what I say because it's the truth. I think you're all a coward. My intention is to actually press criminal charges on everyone involving me. I'm not Jesus. No one makes a career. No one makes a career of pain and suffering, okay? But I live to tell. All I can say is shame on all of yous. Shame. Shame on all of yous. The whole Commonwealth game has been one that is illegal. First of all, that's why we have laws, privacy laws, but what they've done to me is absolutely inhumane, and also would be the reason why World War One and Two actually took place. But it's been something that I've had to go through. But today I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to talk about it. First of all, the Commonwealth game involves a lot of religious extremists, racist extremists, who think that they're better than everyone because they haven't had a difficult life. Okay? So they're digging up people's life, doing this illegal project. This is what they're doing, and this is what they've done to me because I'm a witness to everything. And this is the reason why I was going through what I was going through at work. I didn't know what to do about it except go through it. So why they do what they do is because they think they're so perfect that they want to find out and dig up your past, see if you are holy enough to preach the Bible, or whether you are holy enough to do what they think, is an offense to them. Okay, so keep in mind, what is an offense to somebody else is not an offense to another person. Somebody's truth is not necessarily the correct truth to another person. That is why we have laws. Hearsay evidence, gossip, and everything like that is not actually sufficient evidence to use on anybody. This includes recording somebody's private conversation, like what everyone has done, and then using it against me. For example, if somebody wants to commit suicide and then they try, it doesn't actually mean that they are going to commit, or they want to commit suicide. And it doesn't also necessarily mean that they did commit suicide. Okay, so what I'm going to do today in this clip, I'm going to disclose what happened. That those ladies who, I thought they were actually doctors until we had the hearing on the 21st of September 2017, were actually nurses, and this was confirmed by their own lawyer. He didn't even do his own investigation on his own clients, which was Paul White, and he orally admitted in court that his clients were nurses, whereas I already knew that the only person that can only do mental health assessments on any human being, that's right, I am a human being, I'm not a dog, all right? Anyone to do any mental health assessment on anybody's mental capacity, anything to do with mental health, it has to be a psychiatrist. So Paul White didn't even know that his clients were nurses. And so I was able to show him up in court. The other party, of course, was Hannah Stewart for City Med. She didn't know that her client was a occupational therapist. So how unlawful judgments came about, I have no idea. Okay, so that is my evidence. Now, the evidence in relation to the rape, it took place when I was underage. I was a child. I had run away from home. But what is more sickening is listening to the public interpreting my life. They've interpreted my life as I'm a high school dropout, I'm a problem child, I've had a dysfunctional life. This is what they're doing on innocent civilians. They're digging up their past, and they think they're all that, and then they're interpreting it, but they're actually defaming somebody. That's why we have privacy laws, all right? So the truth of the matter is I got raped. I was only 14 years old. I had ran away from home because home life was difficult. At that time, my father was an alcoholic, but he just had a drug. He never had drug problem or anything. Those who've had a parent who's had drinking problem, They are, sometimes it's always just the drink, like it's the drunk talk, or, when people, are on drugs or on combination of stuff, people react, say things they don't mean or do things they don't mean. And my father, yes, he was an alcoholic, but he was not a bad person. I was just a kid, and this has taught me a lot. I learnt a lot from what I've gone through, and I have no resentment or anything like that towards my past, because my journey is what God has allowed me to go through personally. So I don't see my past as, something to be bitter about. However, it is something negative that can be turned into a positive. So what upset me is the fact that these nurses had put these information. I read the report, and I was absolutely upset, because I knew they were creating evidence. Keeping in mind, I come from a very high profile job, working. I've handled murder cases, sexual violation cases, so I can interpret, facts, it's called. I can actually interpret them and then refer them to the laws as a consistency, whether there's been laws broken. So I'm pretty expert at what I'm doing, and I know exactly what I'm saying and putting on my social media. It's core evidence of indirect and direct, global, illegal, honestly. So what was actually said on the report was actually true, and I don't know if there was any other way to actually make things better back then. Like, what I mean is, if I went back in time, would I be able to make decisions to make sure that, nobody is dead? But given my set of circumstance at that point of time, and how private I was, and how busy I was, and at that time, there really wasn't anything that I could have done differently to stop what was happening to me. However, I knew at that point of time I was being used like a guinea pig, like a scientific experiment by a lot of people, and I knew the system was corrupt. And so the evidence that I've already put on my Facebook page is true evidence that I can actually still prove legally to this day, if given the opportunity to go backwards and bring up the evidence. But going back to the rape situation, it is true. What did happen did happen. I was underage, and I was only 14 years old, and myself looking back to what happened back then, I was naive. The situation, I'd say, was a setup. I was raped by one guy. The other guy helped him. They were my brother's friends, and they were 19 years old. I was 14. The guy that actually raped me, his name was Selwyn Alistair, and he was Māori. And the other guy was Rio Va'a, and he was Samoan. But I was underage at that time, but I never told anybody. My family weren't home when it actually happened. And after it happened, I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what to do about it. I did ring my mum, but I didn't tell her either. I didn't tell her what actually happened, but I did have a conversation, something, at that time, but I didn't tell her. That I never told anybody what happened in that garage in Wellington. I was living in Wellington, another state. I had ran away from home because home life was difficult. and but anyway, it took place, and my brother didn't know anything about it. He found out something had happened, and he was furious at me, but I didn't even tell him. I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell anyone. I just kept it to myself, because going backwards, I was a child. I would not class myself also as a high school dropout, like everyone has interpreted my life. I actually loved school. I did go to school right up to sixth form, but it was just my circumstance, was not my fault. It was out of my control. And those guys that raped me, they're the offenders. I didn't ask for it, and then all these relationships, scams where people have, built an alliance trying to make out I'm the other woman. I'm stealing another man's heart or husband. I mean, really, you guys need to grow up. Yous are pathetic human beings, and there's no excuse with what yous have done to me, and what you have done to my family. But I do intend, if these people are alive, and it's not hard to do, I do intend to press criminal charges, because I can still prove that in the criminal laws. And I do intend, I want everyone made accountable for what they've done to me. They've dug up my past. A lot of it's been cultural and religious, corporate bodies joining forces, and they all just want to be, it's all about being in superior, or, wanting to be in superior over somebody. I mean, come on. I feel like swearing my head off, to be totally honest. But what I've been through as the victim, and yes, I've always been the victim, and no, I've never acted like the victim. And if you look back in my testimony, I've actually achieved a lot more than any of yous have in one life. And that's the truth. Okay, there's more to integrity than just, materialistic stuff. And I mean, honesty is, my father had a policy of honesty is the best policy, and he always taught me not to lie. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't even a Christian. He had a drinking problem. That was it. But one thing's for sure, my father, he wanted us to, to have a better life than he did, because he had a hard life too. He was an intelligent man. He had really good English, but he wasn't perfect. He had a drinking problem. That was it, a drinking problem. So you tell me what is everybody's, everybody that don't drink, don't smoke, what is your problem? Lying, jealousy, envy, you name it, because it's disgusting what yous have all done to even do it to anybody. So that is my story. Maybe I'll have the courage to talk about the details, what happened. But I think I've said enough, and I'm shaking even just talking. But I think I've said enough. The other thing I have found disgusting about the system is that they've dug up my past, and everybody that have stolen off me in the past, they are the ones behind the micromanaging, keeping an eye. I mean, goodness, we'll all be rich if everyone can do that. Using the technology after stealing off somebody's life and trying to destroy them, and then make money out of them for free, or stealing what you can because you think you're not going to get caught. Anyway, so that is my story, and that is my experience. I have found that some of the people handling my court cases have been people, from the past. Their families, their friends, bias, prejudiced people, and they've just blacklisted me for no reason at all, other than because they all know, that I'm being blacklisted, or whatever they want to call it. But I have not found it nice knowing that somebody's, that's why we have laws And, that's why you're supposed to go and investigate. And, because anyway, let's just say if things were different, I just blame the New Zealand police back then. I blame all the privacy breaches, people digging up people's passes without a warrant. The system that I'm going through now, it's designed that people, it is designed for human trafficking rings to be able to make money for free or steal off innocent civilians. However, I've gone through the process myself, and I have felt to use my social media platform basically for trafficking rings and just to bring in awareness. Because going backwards, when I was brought up in the church, we were brought up that watching TV or anything like that, that was a no-no. That was the culture, and maybe it is in some cultures too, but no one is safe anymore, and you things can't be the same anymore. But I have found people have judged me by using the Bible versus my life. I felt other religions have dug up my past to see if I'm worthy enough to preach the gospel or talk about my faith and, my Christianity background, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? You don't have that authority to tell anybody they can't speak their mind or they can't speak about their belief and what they believe in. And but yeah, I've been through a lot. Time changes people, and I'm not the same person anymore. As far as I am, and I'm not. Like I'm just like setting boundaries and just putting myself first right now. But in the eyes of God, I know I'm walking in my own truth. I'm walking in my own purpose. I'm walking in the Spirit for what God has ordained for me. So, everyone has their own beliefs in that, but that doesn't give you the right to enforce it on anybody else. I've never enforced my belief on anyone else. But anyway, I'm just going to end it there. But to anyone who's gone through so much in life like I have, and I know there's a lot of people out there that can relate to me, don't give up. The devil's just gotten wiser, been evil and wicked. Try and read your circumstance differently. But what I've gone through, it has been a trap set of circumstance. It has been a downhill financial, set of circumstance out of my control. So the whole system the system that I've gone through is it's actually set out to keep people poor. So like the poor stays poor and the rich stays richer. But I don't believe God would have it that way. And I don't see myself, like for me, okay, so sorry, I just had a little bit of a technology issue just here. I'm going to finish this clip up now. I will do a video clip a bit more on the relationship scam historically. I know I've already put that out there in regards to what I'm going through, but it's definitely an illegal money laundering system. Where the actual global game involves original individuals being used for money laundering purposes while other people are living their life, and then this is where all the substitutes come in, and the twinning and all the pretending, blah blah blah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just finish this clip here, and I will do a clip just on the relationship scam, because I find it really despicable what I've gone through. Maybe, people see me despicable, but that is your problem. Okay, you don't have to like me. I don't have to like you either. But I'm still entitled to speak my truth legally. And I just think it's what this whole system, it does discriminate a lot of people. The evidence clearly shows that everything about me has been a discrimination system and me being used to make other people rich. So my concern is what's going on behind the scene, and there's tax invasion, you name it. I've been through it. That's what the evidence will show in my case. But I'm gonna leave everything now, and then I will do another clip when I'm ready. I need a bit of a break now. But this is the whole idea why we have a government, is that so the system is not corrupt, and and then all this blacklisting and black market shouldn't be going on, but it is. So I'll finish it there.